Hello, my name is Danetta Priest, and this is for class setting social and interactive goals, and it's STCO 648. And my instructor is Dr. Holly Walker, and I am a student at Liberty University, and I'm doing my master's degree in communication, and this is for the assignment for Link to Life. It is the abstract for our uh, resource review assignment. So this is for the digital analytics. And let me tell you, it's to see if we're understanding what we're reading. And digital analytics has got so many things in the umbrella of digital analytics. I am a small business owner and I use I use Adobe Analytics anyway. So I am familiar with the web analytics for Adobe. Um, and so I am going to move my camera on here because I don't think that looks. So I am familiar with that program. So that does help me with that. But the assignment is to basically like to show that we understand what we're reading here. And back when they first came out with the internet, it was not made for the regular person. It was not made for just the kids to play games on, and that's what a lot of it has turned into at home is fun times at the house. It was actually made for companies to be able to do their billing, to be able to keep up with their taxes, to help their companies. That was the original intentions of the internet in the beginning. So the structure versus unstructured data happened before me, although the actual internet didn't happen before me. The structured and unstructured did. Um, so it happened about 50 years ago, and it uh, was used, like I said, for the reasoning of to keep the companies payroll, taxes, things like that in neat order. So then that's where the evolution of the internet came along. About 1983, the internet came along, and that's when it made that horrible racket. The World Wide Web. Now, obviously, I don't remember when the 1983 came out, but that was not in each home. That was only in businesses and only in certain businesses, and that was in the Department of Defense specifically. That was only for the Department of Defense. So if it was not for them, you did not have access to the internet. Then Tim Berners-Lee in November of 89 opened up the protocols for people in general. So that was when you started getting that nasty, I cannot stand that sound. Um, to this day, it makes my skin crawl. But it hooked us up to the HTTPs, the URLs, and the HTMLs, which is where you get your internet. And you can go on, for today's generation, Facebook and Twitter and TikTok and Google and Adobe and all of them. And then for my generation, it opened up AOL. And you saw your little running man, and then you would get your you've got mail. Um, so then Berners-Lee, he wanted to take it up a little bit farther, and go mobile with it and open up the mobile devices and take it to the HTML5 and render faster devices and make it just a little bit faster. And then you have the types of networks that we have are your public internet, the intranet, the extranet, the intranet, which is inside of a place, which runs internally. So, like if you're working in a hospital or a prison or something like that, it would be something that's only available inside of that facility. So you would not be able to have access to it outside of that facility. So it's usually something that is highly guarded. Um, so again, like the DoD, something like that. Then you have the extranet, which are two or more joined networks that share information. So that could be you have hospitals that share that have sister ones. Like for instance, my brother works for more than one he works for one hospital, but he has several that he's over. So he does the extranet. So once he sends an email to this hospital from this hospital, but he doesn't send it over your normal HTML or HTTP. He sends it over extranet. And then you have your mobile, which is your mobile devices, your cell phones and such. And then your internet providers, which is, gosh, there's so many now. You have AT&T, Verizon. They do have their own other than mobile. And there's just so many. And then you have the Internet of Things, which are devices that are talking things. Um, and then the timelines, there is a timeline of the internet, believe it or not. And it started back in the 50s. Actually, after the Cold War is when they started to develop the internet, because they decided after that that they have to have a way to communicate, um, because they could not risk what happened in the Cold War again. They just couldn't do it. So after that is when they did start with the military, and researchers started to get involved. And actually, Apple and IBM developed personal computers in the late 1970s, those great big boxes that were white and bulky. And yeah, we remember those. And we would love to go to school and play on those. Those were the highlights of our day. But yeah. So and then in the book, it only takes us down to the 2004 to 2009 era with the popularity of the WWW, which equated to the rapid growth in users with content of cells and different all kinds of things. You've got your Facebook, Twitter, Foursquare, YouTube, LinkedIn, and different social networks that we use today. We're still using them today. So that's kind of the timeline that we're on, and we're still on that timeline. So it hasn't really changed too awful much, other than we do have the fibro. that's in there now, and there are some things that have been added. So then you have the introduction to the World Wide Web and how that works. So it is actually a protocol of services and devices and things that's actually a global network. So it works globally with different software and different computers to work together to work and communicate, and they talk to one another. Like your fax machine talks to your computer if it's through Wi-Fi, or it doesn't talk because they're supposed to be smart. They're not always smart. Um, Trust me, they're not always smart. The seven-layer OSI model, such as the Ethernet or wireless ports in your computers, um, those that's what I was talking about. They kind That's what is makes them talk to one another. Um, and they do make them talk to each other. And actually it's better to use that than it is to use the Wi-Fi because you have a better chance of them talking that way. And then you have the evolution of the web, which has changed erratically and so fast. It is one of the fastest moving um out there. You have the web 1.0, web 2.0, web 3.0, and web 4.0. And those are web point 1.0 is companies and businesses focused only. Web 2.0 is community and social focused. Web 2.0 is focused on the individual and like streaming, live streaming, and data waves. Like right now, I would be considered on a Web 3.0 because I'm focused on the live stream, I'm focused on you individually. And then you have Web 4.0, which is personal assistance, which is Siri. And I said that, so my phone's probably going to start talking here in a moment. And Google and Catania. I don't know if they're still, I don't know because I'm pretty much completely Apple in my home. And then you have IntelliBots. Well, my TV is Google. Why I started something. And then you have the Web 0.0 is a read only. So it was the earliest version of the internet and is static in nature, which means that it has one to very many fashion of sharing. So it there's just one of it and a lot of others. So it's kind of like me to my three children. Then you have the Web Point 2.0, which is a version of the World Wide Web that most of us have in our homes. So it's characterized by this shift of the static web pages and user generation, its content. So you have it with many two ways. So it goes more than two ways, but short end of that is the two ways of it is it goes more than one way. But something to think about and to note on that is that the Web 2.0 technical is not a technically standard update to the first version. So it's not like an update. It's not where you would get like, oh, you have an update for your phone. So now you have um Windows 2.0 or Windows 15 or Windows whatever. I don't even know what Windows they're on. How bad is that? So you wouldn't have like Windows 11 or whatever. Um, it just reflects the changing in the societal thing. So it's got bunches of stuff that's changed. It's just the number of it has changed because of the basic number. So it's not an upgrade, it's just a change in number. The Web 3.0 changed because it is a schematic change in data. So it changed in its intelligence, its collaboration, smart fabric, and in the I can't say this word. Dic- I'm not going to be able to say this word. I'm sorry, y'all. I have medical conditions, and I take medications that are supposed to help me, and yeah. So yeah, I'm not going to say this word, but um, it works with the framework so that everyone can become content creators or create content um, or a consumer, and most businesses are transforming to it. I'll give you what it means, okay? And then you have the 4.0, which is very new according to this timeline, and it is using things that are quantified and private, like clouds. So it's not really new to today's time because we do use them now. We use them a lot, like the iClouds, Google Clouds, the different clouds that you could purchase to store stuff, Adobe Cloud, different ones that we can use because of storage reasons. So it's not new now, but it was new then. Then you have common internet terms such as the URLs, um, domain names. If you have an internet, like for my business, I have a domain name. I have to pay for it every year, but you have a name that you pay to be on the internet. In the beginning, you didn't have to pay for it, but there wasn't as many. Then you have the DNS server, which is who runs that domain and keeps it going to make sure that it stays going and running, which is your server, and then your IP address for your computer. Your IP address is kind of like your social security number or your checking account number, that kind of stuff. It identifies who your computer is and who you are. So, should you try to do something fishy, they're going to know who you are based on your computer. Your browser, which you use. I prefer Google Chrome. Some people prefer Safari, some prefer Firefox. It just all is in what you prefer. Then you have your transport layer security, which is your security like Norton and AgFi, different ones like that. You have your web hosting and your cloud computing. Cloud computing is your web-based email, mobile apps, how you store photos. Again, your Googles, all those different things that you have that you use. And then you have first party and third party data, which marketers collect more consumer data than they can act on. So controversially, consumer prospects and consumers should turn off geolocation. And now they've come out with where they have to ask you if you want your location shut off. When this book was written, they didn't have to, but now they do. Now they have to ask you, do you want to be able to have them track you? Um, so that was one of the things with that. Text analytics they text analytics do not formally exist. They didn't formally exist until about 1975. So the simplest way to explain your text analytics is by turning into numbers. So you have digital analytic history, which is as old as the internet. So it goes back to when the internet began. Then you have your existing platforms. And then you take it and you find out how many texts have ever come in and how many that has been downloaded. And then you take that number and then you divide it into the years, and then you get your number of how many texts have ever been sent for the entire time that we've had text messaging. I'm sure it's a lot. Uh, I'm sure. I'm not a math person, so I'm not even going to attempt to try to get that number for you. And then the era of massive data growth and data is like the new oil. I think of the Clampets and how, he shot the ground and he got oil and they got rich and they were moving on up. Well, or the Jeffersons, they're moving on up to the east side. Well, that's the internet. I mean, you get you some stock, for my other class that I have to do, I'm doing a paper on Apple and Steve Jobs and all of them. And let me tell you, that's where it's at. Um, the massive growth and understructured data is tuning information from unstructured form and providing it with a structure. That's been compared to the ancient science and claiming that it wasn't possible. People were trying to say that there was no way to figure it out, and people are figuring it out. And through figuring all this out, they're making killer money of it. And then you have the rise of online advertising. People are making mad money advertising online. And they're saying, if you will pay this amount of money, we'll give you this amount of money to do your ad. I know, I get them all the time. And I take advantage of it because why not? I'm saving money. Um, and then it says the digital increase of industrial economy. Well, it says by 2020, every organization will be an IT organization and every leader will be a great leader. Well, I mean, this book was, let's see. I mean, I think I looked the other night to see because I'm reading this information. I'm going, this is old information. Um, 2014. Okay, so yeah. So I mean, it's old information. So um and it says by increasing the digital efforts, businesses may have the opportunity to tap into new segments, create greater brand awareness, or defend their businesses against competitors. Um, and then it says, that those are some points to think about. And it's the truth. I know for me, just in my Adobe Analytics, I can go on there and see who is in my who to just today is making money selling what I sell and the time it took to make what I make, what they're predicted for home, all this stuff just through the AI marketing. And so it's crazy. Um, and then chapter 2, they talked on the search engines. The search engines is crazy. There's the search engines that you can use, are pretty basic, and the way that they work, um, is you put in your URL. Let me see if I can screen share with you here. But yeah, you can, you go to your search engines and no, it's not gonna let me. Okay, but anyways, you go to your search engines and then you put in the information that you want. So I'm gonna go to Google and I'm gonna put in Starbucks into the search engine. And I am going to put in, all I put in is Starbucks. And it brings up, it says about 3,805 million results. Okay. So then, based on that, then you get your search engine optimization, which is the website received the most visitors, and then the search engine marketing, and then what it's focused on. So then the search engines, they're the internet services or software designed to search for the information to respond to the request. So your keywords or whatever. So when the people make their websites, you're going to put in your keywords of what you want. So people can put in coffee, iced coffee, Starbucks. You could put in whatever you want. Okay. I just happen to put in Starbucks because that's what I want to use for another part of what I'm going to do here. So, um, but yeah, you could put in your keywords on there. You could put in no keywords. You could put in low cost. You could put in free. You could put in pick up at the window. You could put in app. You could put in whatever you want. And then the types of search engines that you want, you could have crawler based, directories, meta based. Like I use Meta, so you could go on Meta, which is a Facebook or Instagram. Um, so web crawling search engines, that's storing information about web pages. So it's more of a mechanism that's like a spider term. It's not really um it's a bot. It's not really something they're gonna use. And then indexing, uh, so they're the ones that are like watching, okay? And then you have your searching. You search for the final is your final step in the operation, and then you go on your page, off your page, your meta usability, the main organic search factors, your keyword, how the website's laid out, and then your URL. Sorry, my brain. So your directories, your meta search engines, your local and global search engines. So you need to think about that too, because when you're putting stuff in there, it's not just going to bring up stuff that is in this country too. So you need to make sure that when you're setting up your website, because you can set it up for global. Like, sorry, it's my medicine timer. You can set it to go to where it looks all over the world because like Starbucks is 80 different countries according to this Google search. So if I didn't put that I wanted the United States, then it could give me Canada or wherever. It's just I think Canada is the well, Canada, Cuba. One of them others, would be closer. Now, global search engines are used for content on the web. So Google is usually Google or Bing. Google and Bing are usually the ones that will search for your global. You also want to make sure that on your essential functions are your brand awareness, online sales, and lead generation. So your essential are your crawl that are gonna and download, okay? And then you're gonna build your search index. Then you're gonna match your search and your query to search index, and then deliver search results into the user and search engines on the front end. So when you're building your website, you want to make sure that you're putting in this information so that people can find you. Because if you're not putting in the right information, they're not going to find you. If you're not putting in that, like for me, if I'm not putting in my business name, because of my business name, it could be because my business name is Strong Tower Merchandise. Well, that could be a million different things. So if I'm not putting in a little bit more information, if I'm not building that search index and using those keywords, then they're not going to get to my website. So I have to be very careful to make sure that my brand awareness is out there and that my customers are recognizing that information. And how your search engine works is um, it goes off of what you're using and what you're putting in there. So by the mid 1990s, they discovered that the internet was getting really crowded with the servers and that people were overriding the bandwidth. And with that, they were straining the capabilities of the devices. So that's why they came out with the www. Now, this emerged out of all of the internet traffic. So they had to pull that and do a local, it's kind of like your phone numbers, like where you get your area codes and that kind of stuff. They had to do the same thing with the internet because it was getting so full. So that's why it was they ask all these questions when you first start opening up your website, because if they don't, they're not going to put you in the right category. Like I think it asks you, it's been so long since I set mine up. I think it asks you your state, it asks you your zip code, and of course you don't have to put all that information out there for everybody to see. But it asks you all of that stuff so that way it can make sure that it puts you in the right place. And then okay, here it goes. The three-step search engine process. It says the search engines indexes sorted master lists, the websites and pages of each website currently available on the World Wide Web, founded by the crawlers and search engine employees get the data in first place. So once the user enters the search engine or term or phrase, it's evaluated by the search engine to then it tries to understand what term we're defining. So any misspellings, so it tries to look to make sure that you've misspelled anything. And then the most relevant pages in the search index are matched with the query and then used as a search engine operating on its unique set of search. So when you put in the search, if me, for instance, if I'm putting on Google that I want to look for sports t-shirts that are moisture quicking and I misspell moisture, it's going to say, "Did you mean?" That's what that means. Now, the search engine analytics um, mean two things. They are search engine optimized and they're search engine analysis. So they optimize the techniques to improve it while they also get a list of the search responses for you. So if you're a business owner, it's going to give you, if you get something like the Adobe, it's going to give you a list of who's looked at your website and ways the trends of if they've spelled it right, what they're looking for, like all that good stuff, where they're at, their location, everything. And then the search trend analytics is like that same thing. So the search trend analytic deals with analyzing and understanding the keywords people use. So for this month, we wouldn't be looking at July yet. So we would be looking at June. So my June analytics would be coming out, and it's going to tell me in June people were looking for 4th of July stuff, and the biggest keyword was America, and then it's going to say X amount of people looked up 4th or 4th of July or whatever the keyword was. So then it's going to tell us also Google Trend. The Google Trend can help also because it answers a variety of questions for you. The Google Trends are really cool because it helps you, tells you how people search for your brand. Was there an interest spike in your products? Um, which keywords were driving more traffic? Are people interested in your brand? And what trend topics are going over the internet? And how are your competitors performing? Things that you kind of need to know because you need to know how to up your game. So the the Google Trends is really cool. And it's got a canopy of different things that you can use. The best practices for doing SEO and digital marketing for inbound and outbound. And you've got to figure out what strategy works the best for you. If you're all social or if you're brick and mortar, if you're how do you work? What do you work the best in? For me, I am pretty much all social media. So I don't really have a brick and mortar place. My stakeholders, me. I mean, so it really just depends, and you got to figure out what your keywords are, what works the best for you, what your strategy is, what what your keywords are, what is your title tag? A title tag is the HTML element, which is critical in both the SEO and user experience. The header tags is the HTML in the post. So it has like HTML, H2, H3, H4. Then you have your main text and then your alternate text. So of how it will look on a page would be like HTTP www.strongtowermerchandise um, com backslash 4th of July tees dot for etc, something like that, to that effect. um then you're gonna have organic searches where they're just gonna like put it in and they're just gonna find you. And then that's how you're gonna learn your principles. And if each SEO, the popularity of your metrics, understanding and optimizing the searches of your performances, because you need to know how you're performing, because if you don't know how you're performing, you can't fix it. So some additional thoughts to keep in mind about your search engine is that you need to make sure that you classify and that you get that your search engines are an early application of document classification of the core um, algor- algorithmic methods applied to the web document. So, like, it's your Google ranking. And so it's what starts in the beginning and it's going to go further. So, Google's going to look back from the beginning and be like, okay, well, you started at such and such day. And from this day, you have valued up to this point. So, you started in 2016 and now we're at 2023 and you're at this number. So you have had dips and spikes and this and that. And this time of the year, you're really, really good. But this time of the year, you're not. So then that way you can go back and say, what is going on in July or June or whatever that makes it rough for me? So it could be that you live in a state that it's super hot and your snowbirds go away, or it could be vice versa or something of that nature. And you need to make sure that you're doing your updates on your search engines. You need to make sure that you're doing a local search engine ranking factor. Make sure that it's a good search engine. The type of search engine that you're using. Is it Are you growing in size? And then how does your keywords work? Are your keywords working for you? Make sure that you know all of this stuff and how it's evaluated, um, and all of that stuff too. Um, the paid search, your keywords, people do get paid to do this. There are people there, they get paid money to go and do keyword searches. And to put in to Google and to Bing and to Yahoo and to different ones this word and see what pops up in first, second, third, whatever order. Ads, short ads, bids, landing pages, conversations, and processes. Um, so there's also people that get paid for per click on a page. They will pay people to go on a page and click it. Like, I could pay somebody to go onto my page and just go onto my page and click it. The search engine marketing, AdWords and Bing ads, campaigns, impressions, click-through rates. Like, there are so many things that people do that are that they get paid that they pay money to have their search query up here, so that way their ratings go up. Um, the formulation process is, basically, it's a generic process that's repeated when a user searches the internet using the search engine, but it's repeated. So you have the query, the web server, the index server, the document server, the web server, and it repeats itself over and over and over and over. And people will do it, and they will pay people to do it. And sometimes they will pay people good money to do it to get those ratings up, because if they get the ratings up, then they're the first person that pops up on the list, um, when someone's looking for a company that sells custom shirts, custom tumblers, custom whatever. They're first on the list. So that's targeting. Text search ads. So targeting on social media and stuff, it's keyword based, interest based, demographics, all of that stuff. So again, now Amazon has gotten very smart about it, and they've caught on. And they have started going back and looking at the items that these people are going, and they are reviewing and saying yes or no, they really bought it, because it had gotten that bad. Visitor and customer acquisition, event marketing, going to places, go set up a booth, go to an event, optimize social media and press releases, web portals, viral marketing, get out in the community, social media advertising, video advertising, again, be in the community, um, connecting the dots. You got to figure it out. Just go and be in social media history. So they have figured out that social media and the web point 2.0 is social media based, really. Um, and it's peer to peer, participatory, user generated, conversational, relationship oriented. People want to be involved with you. It is blogs, WordPress, YouTube, Tumblr. This was before some of these others. Tumblr, um, Facebook, Reddit, yep, Snapchat. I'm surprised that one's in there. Viral media, influence, LinkedIn. Um, so I think the only one that didn't make it in here was TikTok. But these are mobile apps that people are on. They desire to have that one-on-one conversation with you. They want to know you and know that, hey, if I have a problem with whatever product that I just bought from you, I'm going to be able to call you and say, hey, or message you or whatever and say, hey, I had a problem. We need to fix this. Or are you going to fix this for me? Digital analytics and industry players, for party data is focuses on the concepts of ownership, control, and privacy. So it's saying that I'm not going to give out your information to anybody that you don't give me permission to. Examples of first party data include email lists, customer relationship management, purchasing data stored within house database, data on social media channels such as Facebook pages, Twitter accounts, LinkedIn company, Instagram, Pinterest, Snapchat, marketers, blah, blah, blah. So second party data is collected through other organizations and companies and individuals in shared markets. Third party is covered by another marketer and is usually they've got that covered. Stories about converging the second party and third party. So Macy's had suppose a shopper was looking for a new dress. The shopper enters his store and his or her requirements for the shirt into a Google shirt search. The shopper lands on a website such as Macy's.com, looks for available dress, and then through Macy's, they view the dress and so they would not have enough information to identify the shopper, but they suggest the style in-house and the first party data previously collected about the customer. However, the Macy's third party was collected by the vendors. Anyway, so they tried to what long story short, what happened was they ended up buying a dress from Macy's, and they loved the dress, and then they got it home, and then through second and third party information, now American Express had their information, had the customer's information. Well, that that they use their card. Um, just like you went to the museum. If you go to the museum and you use your card at the museum, you're using your card. You mean you can't hold them responsible unless they um double charge you or whatever, and then obviously they're going to ask for their money back. But what happened was one of the companies in here, they got hacked and their card got hit. And then they went after them. So you have to be careful about that too, because it does happen and you got to kind of protect yourself. So, um, why study web analytics? Why are web analytics important? What is so important about the analytics? People, and I was with them, before I started even doing this degree, I was like, what does this matter to me and my business? I don't understand. And then I started taking these classes and I discovered that it's actually very important. According to Avnash, I'm going to say this wrong, I already know it. Kuznick, a prominent analytic evangelist for Google and co-founder of Market Motive, a digital training consultant. Marketers use online data to address fundamentals business problems and by leveling data relevant to their businesses. Below, information about web analytics and marketers use to help them understand and foundation and the capabilities. So there has been so much information that I have learned personally about marketing off of the analytics on here and how people look and what looking at because you have to be aware of what is the current customer looking at because it changes all the time. Mapping out what like the okay, so the Adobe is great, and I have the Adobe Analytics, and is it gives you okay, so you can mix and match what you want from Adobe Analytics. You can actually get analyzed data from any point in the customer journey from within depths of analysis, versatile reporting, predict intelligence. You get the insightful foundation you need to build a better customer experience. So, this gives you the information you need to kind of help with the marketing and everything, which is one of the things that I have trouble with is my marketing. Um, Marketing analytics, it says we work across emerging digital channels, bringing data under one roof to get real time insights based on holistic view of your customer. At attribution key, we open the door to better decision making, use powerful attribution from paid, owned, earned media, predictive and analytics. They tell you what they think you're gonna make this year. Um, and then they have the start with web analytics, and it gives you a fast result, collect stream data, and I actually got this with my Adobe program that I already have. So I was able to plug in all these numbers and figure it all out, and it was actually pretty interesting. Then you get the report sent to you. I really wish I could do the screen share to show this to you. And it shows if you put in there for your whole time of business or whatever, it shows you a whole line. And then it recommends to you what you need to do from there. So to do some form of an analytics is super important to your business. Um, because if you do the breakdown and you look at it, like Starbucks, they opened in 1971 in Seattle. Now, when they opened in 1971 in Seattle, upon creation, its self-proclaimed goals were to share great coffee with our friends and help the world a little better. Okay. So their goal being surpassed with a company of passionate purveyors of coffee, but also achieving replicable franchise with a full and rewarding coffee house experience. Okay. So now according to starbucks.com, they, as of November 2021, have 33,833 stores. And they started with one store in 1971. So, I mean, and they're in 80 countries, and 15,444 of them are in the United States. So, anything's possible. According to them, they're also worth $32.25 billion, and that was in 2022. So, I mean, that's why it's very important to keep track and to look at these numbers and to not give up. You have both Adobe Analytics and Google Analytics, which will allow you to create custom dimensions. You can use them both. The best one is really up to you. They both work great. I've used them both. Intermediate web and social media metrics. Intermediate metrics are marketing and data. Excuse me, are marketing data that falls within the range of impression to purchase, such as bookmarks, views, recall, the number of followers, shares, clicks, retweets, likes, pins, downloads, depending on what you do. So, like for me, when I put out my next shirt and bundle set, I look at how many people have shared it, or how many people have liked it or commented on it. That's what that would be. Then you have your custom variables that you can kind of look at on that my Adobe makes up for my analytics on that one. And then how does the tracker use it? We kind of already went over that. It uses it with every small snippet. It has a Java code. Now, when they say that the AI is watching you, they're watching you. Like they are really watching like every little click you make on your computer. And I always be telling my kids, yeah, you just watch it. That little man in your phone's watching you. And I'm not joking. That little man in your phone's watching you. Two case studies about the web and data analytics implementation, defining how to measure it. Two of them were the Caesars Entertainment investment and Adobe Analytics implementation, the Adobe Digital Suite to manage their numbers online, more than 60 websites for various properties and services. And then they have two main customers segments were identified consisting of frequent but different needs. And then Caesars used web analytics to measure the impact on social media across FIT and TRM segments. And then Motor Insurance Bureau, IR or MIB, created a micro site to generate awareness of motor insurance in specific geographical location across the UK. So it's a house of housing and led Google Analytics to provide and integrate the viewed multi-channel marketing, a custom implication. Google Analytics provided an in-depth showing what content was most effective. So the web platforms have served several different ways to customize data. So we just gotta remember that your analytics will give you what you need. Advanced web analytics, stakeholders, ecosystem. So your business stakeholders are the people who um basically fund you. Your stakeholders are your core ecosystem, your extended ecosystem, and your external ecosystem. They're the individuals that they're the individuals and technologies that assemble the data. They're the ones in the groups of the systems that collaborate the core teams, and they're the customers. So your stakeholders are your key players. So, what's your role in your job? What do you do to provide for your job? And, um, you know, who are your stakeholders? What do they do for your company? The web analytics ecosystem is obviously, it may seem complicated, but it's not. It's the splendid job of simplifying it. It wants to simplify everything for you. Um, so evaluating the websites, it can be pragmatic, but if you use the analytics, it's not going to be. The key performance indicators, which are your KPIs, are the um, key product checkout purchase and your subscription contest sign up, page review, and video review, finance, travel, telecommunications, high tech, and automotive. So, the definition of a good KPI is the perfect one is a stakeholder or business user that can understand and on a key performance indicator is chosen because it informs the business strategy and measures business growth. So you want your KPI to know what they're doing and to be on your side and to be on your business side and want to see your business grow. So your custom segmentation, um, web and uh, analytics platforms can divide visitors into different groupings called segments. The segments can track your visitor locations, your city levels, including where your visitors are coming from, what they're used to, where they browse, your connections. You know, Walmart's a good example for us. I know that we can go to a different Walmart in a different county and they'll have different selection of stuff. Like we can go to one and get a certain kind of clothing and go to another one and it's totally different. So you have to that's where that custom segment examples come in. So you just have to know your customers, set your goals and be ready. Additional web analytics platforms features. So you're going to report your vis, visualizations and dashboards. So the commonly used metrics, again, excuse me, the commonly used metrics produced by the web and data analytics. So you're going to report the roll-ups, the report filtering and standard reporting. So your roll-up is your Google, Adobe roll-up, which is your website A, your website B, which is your cross-tracking of your analytics, what one is saying as opposed to the other. Are they saying different things? Are they on the same timeline? What is one town saying to the other town type of a thing. And then your real data, time spent, your technology, your campaign time, and then tracking your mobile traffic. Is it different? Is it similar? What's unique? What's different? Your GPS locators. What is different in your mobile? Your visitor retention and return rates. These are more for like your hotels and these types of things. Your visitor numbers and reports and your sales. Set your targets, set it high. You want to set yourself high so that way you got a good goal. Academic research synopsis, journalism is torquing it. How web analytics is challenging and processing gatekeeping. So, how does your how is your hypothesis? How is your content? How is your newsroom? How is your methodology? So, what are your findings? And then all of that good stuff. So, um, I hope that was helpful for you. Uh, like I say, I learned a whole lot in these first 6 chapters. It was a lot of information, especially with all of my health conditions, and I hope you could understand me for the most part. I have been going through some medication changes, and it has affected my speech quite a bit. Um, but we are working through that and working on that. So there, we're gonna get through all that, and but uh, I am enjoying learning about all of this because it is helping me tremendously with my own business. So, anyways, I hope that this helped you, and thank you so much.